Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some entitled parent stories and our first story of the day is by Kookabonis, entitled Parents in Jail. Background: I spent 10 years as a custodial corrections officer in a male high-security prison in Australia. The prison was classified as high security, but also contained residential quarters, medium security, and low security, the prison farm. I generally worked on the coal face in the high security section where things were pretty wild most of the time. This also included the detention unit, which would technically be rated as maximum security, where the prisoners were locked down 23 hours per day and remain segregated at all times. On to the meat of the story. Now, your common entitled parent is usually a first-time prisoner when they reach us, fresh from the courts and still full of their entitled rights. They are mostly in the early 20s, come from a mostly good background, have money or parents with money, and an ego like a rock star. They are also all utterly bewildered as to how this could have happened to them. They arrive in a complete state of denial, sure that this is all a mistake and they'll be on the streets again in a few hours. The first shock comes when they're processed in. All their clothing and possessions are taken to be stored until release. They are strip searched, showered with lice wash, yes really, photographed and issued prison clothing, a bed pack and hygiene kit, prison ID card, and after a medical and psych check, delivered to the reception unit. At some point during this process, they will try to lay down the law to us. You can't make me do that, / take my things away, / make me strip, / shower, etc. And the famous, I know my rights. Newsflash youngin', this is Australia, not the USA. Don't believe everything you see on TV. And this is where they receive the very first big shock of their entire lives. Yes, we most certainly can make you do all these things. The only difference is whether you do it voluntarily or whether 3 big officers do it to you. No, sweetie, it is not against your rights. In fact, I can show you the exact legislation where we can compel you to obey if you like. The vast majority of them crumple by now. A few choose to fight, they all lose. I suppose the thing that annoys me the most is that these kids have been allowed to get this far in life before they realize that the world does not jump to their will. It is plain that mommy and daddy never once used the word no to these entitled little craps, and now someone has been hurt and entitled parent Kitty is in jail. As a 3-year-old, it may have been tolerable, even cute I suppose, when they threw a tantrum because they did not get their way. But as an adult, it is not, especially when he wanted someone else's property, for example, or worse, steal sex from a girl and was told no. This, parents out there, is why each and every child must learn that no means no, and they have to respect that. Visit stays were particularly fun. Shell-shocked parents coming in, completely devastated that their little precious was in jail. And it is all that girl's fault, don't you know? If she had just given in to him, none of this would have happened. Yes, I was actually told those exact words once. The other prisoners, the real hardened lifers, absolutely hated these spoiled little entitled parents. They would describe them as plastic prisoners. Obviously, it was far from uncommon for an entitled parent to try to throw his weight around and receive a few slaps for it. The smart ones learned quickly, the really entitled ones usually did not. A bit of advice, kiddies. Do not ever threaten to take legal action against crims involved with the organized crime rings. It will considerably complicate your remaining time on this planet. So in the end, some of them learn they are not the center of the universe and there are consequences for their actions. A few don't, and we expect to see them again soon. Occasionally, some of the parents also learn they made a mistake and step up before their child's life is completely ruined. The thing that annoys me the most is that it is entirely preventable. If they had been raised as children to understand the rights of others and their own responsibilities in society, they would have never have seen the inside of a cell. As officers, we frequently acted as mentors for a lot of the prisoners we felt had a chance at becoming a good citizen. I never minded doing this. In fact, I am darn proud of the ones I helped to never reoffend. I guess I just found it infuriating that I was having to teach basic lessons in manners that parents should have taught at the age of 3. Do you think when people have to go to a jail or a prison that the focus should be on them having to pay for their consequences, or do you think that the focus should be on rehabilitation of whatever their issue is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Our next story is by BC Girl MTL, entitled Mother is Going to Be a Grandma and It's All About Her. I, 33-year-old female, am currently 38 weeks pregnant, expecting my first baby, a girl. It's been a roller coaster of a year for us. We were supposed to get married July 2020, but canceled due to COVID in April. Once we realized that we would have to postpone the wedding, we decided to start trying for a baby since neither of us are getting any younger. My darling husband is 36. Lo and behold, it worked right away. We shared the news with our parents when we were about 9 weeks along. My in-laws already have 3 grandkids, but this would be the first grandkid on my parents' side. My mom lives on the other side of the country, and she lost it during the video chat we had with how excited she was to be a grandma. It was sweet. She said she was definitely coming to visit when the baby was born. Since then, we actually did have a small backyard wedding, socially distanced. We bought our first house and moved, and are now waiting anxiously for the baby to arrive. It's been a stressful and overwhelming year, and my mom has only added to that. When we bought the house and hadn't even moved in yet, it started with dictating what type of mattress and bed we needed to buy for the guest room to make her stay with us comfortable. While we are still trying to figure out closing logistics and moving while both working from home full time, she is calling us multiple times to make sure we buy her a queen bed and a mattress that's not too firm, but not too soft and not too hot. Her weekly calls would also involve her asking how much weight I've gained each week in my pregnancy and warning me each time that I should try not to gain too much because I would eventually have to lose it. As the baby's arrival draws closer, she is making me more and more anxious about her visit. She booked her flight for 2 days before my due date to stay for 3 weeks. She didn't ask which dates would be good for us before she booked it. I wanted to make sure she was planning to come and help us and not just be a house guest that would hog the baby cuddles. I said to her in one call, "I hope you don't mind making us a few meals while you're here to help us out." Her response was, "Well, I'm not coming to be your maid." Now that the second wave of COVID has really hit our country, we decided that it would be best that she quarantine for a week in an Airbnb when she arrives before coming to our house. She agreed. It gave me a huge relief to know that I will hopefully have at least 1 to 2 weeks with the baby, hopefully, and my husband before she descends on us. Then she says if the baby comes early, she will bump up her flight. She keeps saying she can't wait to meet her baby. The icing on the cake is that I got a text from her a few days ago asking us if we will be able to accommodate her new keto diet while she is there. I am hoping the baby comes early and she doesn't change her flight so that we can have more time to adjust before we have to cater to her. On top of being a first-time mom, giving birth during a pandemic, and not knowing what the first few days and weeks of newborn care will be like, I'm having a really hard time and don't know how to deal with my mom. OP later clarified that after the main story, they went ahead and called the mother expressing a desire for boundaries and for an interest in helping out around the house, which obviously the mother didn't respond very well to and said that they didn't want to be a maid and that, well, if you want to set boundaries, I'll just cancel my flight. So, although now things are kind of rocky with the grandmother, they don't have to worry about her coming down and dealing with her during those first few precious weeks. Our next story is by Lemur Squads. My mother wanted me to ignore my girlfriend's dead mom so I could attend a family gathering. I've been with my girlfriend for 2 years now, but this story takes place back in July. I've been living with her for a year now, and in that time, my parents have moved an hour away from me and my siblings, so opportunities to visit are few and far between. For the 4th of July, my mom's side of the family rented a couple of cabins on the lake so we could all come together and have some summer fun and maybe stay the night if we felt like it. This was planned a month or so in advance, so we all knew this was happening. Now, my girlfriend's mom was distant to say the least and was very abusive to her in childhood. Her mom had quite a few substance abuse issues along with some medical complications. She and my girlfriend's dad had divorced when she was about 13 or something, and they had no contact since. 2 days prior to the vacation, my girlfriend's mom died of heart failure. It's not clear whether this was linked to the substance abuse or not, but that's besides the point. Now, my girlfriend was understandably devastated, and there was a lot of emotional turmoil and coroner proceedings to deal with, along with planning the funeral. She didn't feel comfortable telling my family about it and asked if I could do it. I, of course, said yes. Now, here's where the whole mess comes in. I sent out a group text to my family telling them the situation, and they all came to her offering sympathy and condolences. My mother, on the other hand, took a different approach. Mom says, "I'm so sorry to hear about girlfriend's mom." I say thanks, she's having a really hard time right now and she doesn't feel comfortable being around a lot of people, so I think we're going to have to skip the vacation. Mom says, "What do you mean? I think it'll do her some good to get out of the house. You know grandma's gonna be there and she'll be so disappointed if you're not there." I say, "I understand that grandma's gonna be there, but it wouldn't be super comfortable for anyone given the current circumstances." She says, "Oh, come on." I say, "What do you mean, oh come on? Her mom is dead. I can't put her through this so soon." She says, "Well, if you don't feel comfortable, then I guess you just shouldn't come." When the 4th came around, at around noon, I got another text from her. "You guys should at least come for an hour or two." I didn't respond and I just texted my grandma and she said not to worry about it and deal with whatever we have to. I didn't talk to my mom for a couple days after. There's definitely some situations that can come up that are a little bit bigger than missing a family gathering. The mom seemed definitely entitled here, and they should have been able to respect the wishes of OP and their girlfriend. This next story is by Pau Corderito Uwu. "You're gay, so you shouldn't eat." This happened around 2018 to 2019. At that time, I had a friend with benefits. We were lesbians and really liked each other, but couldn't make the move because we were both kind of unsure, but it was nice. I was walking down the street with her, holding her hand when I decided, hey, maybe eating something right now would be nice. So I asked her if she wanted to go get some Completos. Completos are like the Chilean version of hot dogs. They're 1,000 times better and cooler. And she said yes, so we went to shop some. We arrived at a small business that sold them. We take a seat and asked for 2 for each one of us, and then just waited. While we were waiting, she flirted a bit with me. We did that almost every time all day, and I flirted back. It was everything going fine till entitled mother and entitled kid came into the place. At first, I just ignored them while I took a seat at the table close to us. Actually, I hadn't even noticed them. But then, after a while, entitled kid suddenly screamed, "Ew, mom, look, they're sick with the gay." By the way, this child was around 6 to 7 years old, which alerted me because it wasn't the first time that we had problems with homophobic people. I live in a very close-minded town. Even my parents tried to make me change my mind about liking females, so I was already prepared for what it was going to come. The mother looked at us in horror like we were murdering a child in front of her, and her son quickly screamed at us something about how homo people were trying to make his son gay, and that we were gross and all blah blah blah. Now look, I'm a very emotional person with a lot of anxiety and I just wanted to cry. But then all my fear and sadness turned into anger when I noticed that my girl was crying already. She was tougher than me emotionally, so that just broke me. I don't remember what exactly I screamed at her, probably that she was a witch, and she got super angry and continued making her homophobic talking along with her son. All the noise got the attention of the owner, who came and asked what happened to me and entitled mother. But before I could talk, she did. "This homo-freaking witch is trying to make my son gay. This is sickening and disgusting. You need to take her out of here along with her girlfriend now." She sounded like a child throwing a fit. I can't believe how you can allow something so obscene here. Now, something I forgot to add before, the owner of the place where we were was my girl's aunt, who knew that she was a lesbian and supported her. Owner says, lady, I'm gonna ask you nicely to leave, please. These girls aren't annoying anybody. What? This is so freaking gross. Who the freak do you think you are? I'm gonna sue this freaking place and cause it to close. God will kill you all. Yes, she said that. Long story short, owner kicked her out along with her son, and she was banned from the place permanently. The rest of the afternoon was smooth and owner apologized with us, and she assured us that that wouldn't happen again on her site. The Completos were tasty, by the way. All that, and here I am just looking at pictures of Completos on Google Images and wanting to try one. Thanks, OP. And our final story of the day is by Xtron7996. You have to give me your car. I was around 17 at the time. I wanted to go to the store with my younger brother. I got in my car, which happened to be a small manual transmission sports coupe, and set off. Me and younger brother were gonna get some stuff for dinner that night, as well as a potential breakfast for ourselves, as we had just gotten up about 30 minutes prior. We got to the store at around 8 a.m. in the morning. We parked our car in the back end of the parking lot so that no one else decides to go near us. Younger brother and I both get breakfast burritos at the store. Side note, it's one of the stores where there's a dining area inside. We got our stuff together and went to the checkout. Everything was in order. Yet this strange woman behind me is giving me a glare. I look at her and see she has a kid about half of younger brother's age. I get my stuff, pay, and leave. I began putting things in the trunk when I hear the distinct sound of high heels. I see this lady standing inches from my car. What are you doing? I ask the woman. Excuse me, are you trying to steal my car? She says, oddly loud, probably trying to get someone's attention. There weren't many people in that parking lot, so no one really bothered to look her way. Lady, this isn't your car. Bye. I try to be rude so she will go away, but she kept insisting that the car was hers. As I finished loading the trunk, I had younger brother get in the passenger seat and buckle his seatbelt. I stood next to this lady as she began screaming that two teenagers were stealing her car. Then the kid spoke, "Mommy, I want my blue car," he said whilst having a temper tantrum. I didn't even hesitate. I got in as the woman started banging on the glass. I went into reverse and backed out quickly so she knew that I wasn't going to stop for her. Then I peeled out of the parking lot, and I never saw her or her little crap again. I don't know what she was expecting. Were you just going to hand the keys over and just give up the car? Was she expecting some guy to come over and be her hero and beat up OP and their younger brother and take the car? Like, how in any way would this person ever succeed with taking that vehicle? I don't get it. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.